Okie dokie. Good morning, everybody. Everybody's doing well this morning. It's good to see you all here. So this morning, I wanted to go over one of my specialties, obviously something I'm very passionate about, and that I'm constantly educating myself on, is social media and how it has been pivotal to my business, 1,000%. And I think if you don't have some form of social media in with what you're doing, I think you're losing on a very large scale with your real estate business. Reason being is, I mean, obviously, it is a way to stay in front of people, and it is a way to stay in front of your sphere of influence, your friends and your family, so they don't forget who you are and what you're doing. And it really has become a personal website for a lot of real estate agents, right? Because a lot of people forget that just having a personal website, well, there's not really a lot of traffic that gets to flow there, right? Naturally, because nowadays everybody has SEO. And all of these businesses, such as like not Zoom, I'm sorry, Zillow, Homes.com, and all of those are all stealing SEO traffic. They are paying extremely high amounts, right, to make sure that when people are searching online, that the traffic is flowing toward their websites that people can go and search for homes. Naturally, right? So that's why they have such expensive leads and like their lead sources are so strong because they are paying to have that traffic flowing toward them constantly. And so, us on the other end, we have the advantage in the fact of like we have more of a personality. There's a creator, and you're unique and you have a unique messaging that you can offer, right? And so, your opportunity is not necessarily to have the best website for that traffic, but rather to have the best social media presence that allows you to pull people in a way that nobody else can, right? So I think a big part of your social media game needs to be relatability, who you are and what you stand for. I think what most agents, and you guys will see that time and time again with boring agent profiles, is just the fact that a lot of their content is very selfish. And that's why I always coach to people to stop and ask yourself, would I stop and watch this? Is there actual value in this content? Right? Because I think if we actually stopped ourselves and like took that second and said, you know what I mean? Wait a minute, I'm about to post this video. What's the purpose of this video? And would I actually enjoy this piece of content? And I think if you analyzed a lot of your content from that perspective, you would find that a lot of your content either is not that beneficial or it's a bit selfish, meaning it's braggy or it more or less doesn't add any value to my life. Because I think the common misconception that people will have or tend to forget with social media is that it is. Um, Me first mentality in the idea that when I'm on social media and I am consuming content, I want to consume things that I want, not the other way around, right? So I'm stopping on creators or watching things or engaging in videos that are benefiting me in some way. So I either want to laugh, I want to learn something new. It has to be about a topic of something that I have some interest in. So, for instance, money markets, news, I think is something that I always stop on, right? Like, I don't watch the news. I don't watch TV at all in that way. I have Netflix, but I mean, I rarely watch that. But most of my content that I consume happens to be news stories that I'll watch. It could be from major news outlets that I probably could consume on TV. I see CNN, NBC, like all of these different people that still have those news outlets on TikTok or just other people reporting on those newses. But it's educational, right? I'm filling my mind on what's going on in the trends, what's happening in the world, right? So they're giving me some kind of value rather than me going look at Apple News and read these articles or read the newspaper or go search for it. They're providing me what I'm looking for, which is to stay current on what's going on in the political climate, in the interest rates, in the bond markets, like all of those things. So that's something that I personally stop on. I've noticed that and that I consume. So, how can I relate that to the content that I have? Well, if you notice, one of my most recent viral videos that I had on TikTok was news hacking. All I did was take an article that I found that talked about Donald Trump and how he swear that he's going to get us back to 3% interest rates, right? And let me tell you, that started a firestorm on TikTok of conversation and comments because you had right and left, right? What doesn't matter what political party you're part of, but they all had their input about Trump's going to save America and yeah, it's going to happen, or he's crazy, that'll never happen. He doesn't even have that kind of control. And that's the conversation that I sparked where I pulled up that topic. And the cool thing is, the headline itself is a hook to get people to stop and check it out, right? The I can probably show you. Let me just show y'all the video rather than talking about it. Um, Whoa, so some big news just came out today about the downward revisions that have been projected for the 2025 home sales. This is by Fannie Mae. The forecasts have actually been completely dampened. It's not what everybody thought. I think everybody was so optimistic that after the election, we were going to see interest rates get so much better. We were going to see the interest rates just plummet down and home sales just rise. But according to their projections, it's looking like that the rates are not going to change as much as they thought in 2025. So as you may currently know, our interest rate's been hovering somewhere around that 6.6%, 6.7%, close to 7% up and down lately. But as you can see, as we go through all of these quarters, there are barely any changes that we are going to see come down on those interest rates. So if you it doesn't go much longer, but basically, that's what news hacking looks like. It's just taking a picture of an article and then literally you can use the headline as the hook, right? Because usually those, if you look at news articles, every single news article that you see is a hook. It's something to try to hook you and get you to read the article. And a great way to understand how to hook somebody for a video is to go and look at news articles. Go scroll Apple News and look through all the titles and notice, take track of which ones make you go, I want to click on this one, right? And ask yourself, why did I want to click on this one? What were they saying? What was the wording that they use? Because you'll notice that certain articles pull you more than others, and it's because that's a hook. And that's what's always going to get people to stop on your content and want to consume it is the fact that they feel like there's some kind of pull, like, oh my God, I'm so interested in what this is, right? And the reason why we need such a strong hook is people make decisions very quickly, right? If you're scrolling TikTok or you're watching anybody else doing it, they're literally scrolling this fast, right? Making decisions within seconds about whether they want to watch something. And so that's why even for a house tour, you need to have some sort of hook, right? A lot of people think, oh, just having a pretty house works. I mean, yes, it could be a visual hook. So some people do the videos with just like music on it, or maybe there's some words on there, but there's some type of hook that's always there. And some people think the hook always has to be verbal. It does not. Things as simple as having a cup of coffee becomes a hook because if you go and you scroll TikTok at people who are talking to the camera, it's very unlikely that they're holding them up. So just that visually changes what I'm seeing, right? Just anything, any kind of object, like if I was holding a marker and you see me doing this in the beginning of my video, all of a sudden you're seeing something different than what anybody else is posting. So it would kind of break that pattern of what you're seeing. And that's the idea, is that a hook is made to just interrupt their pattern of that scroll where they just go, oh my God, wait, I want to check this out. My brain has been intrigued. And then you'll notice is whether or not you choose to stay on the video is whether or not the information has captivated you enough. So the hook makes them stop. But then once they stay, you'll notice you've watched some videos, and I'm sure this happens before, where you stopped on it and you were interested. The hook got you. But then as you started to consume it, like maybe they started going off topic or they didn't say enough things to intrigue you. They didn't rehook you with the content. So, of course, you kind of lost interest and you moved on. It's the same thing. So you have to start asking yourself, what can I do to get them to stop that scroll? Right. So even with a property tour, a lot of times with my property tours or with anything that I'm doing, I either want to use some sort of visual hook. So sometimes I always like walking toward camera. That's a really great visual hook. And I'll use big gestures like hands coming out toward them. And I'll say something about the property that maybe could be a bit shocking or something that would make them go, oh, I'm interested in this area. Right. This might be the best backyard that I've ever seen, or this might be the biggest pool I've ever toured on this property. This might be the most expensive home in Lafayette, Louisiana. I want you guys to check it out. Right? There's something that's a bit more interesting than welcome to 214 South Lake Point Drive. right? That's just like, okay, like the address doesn't mean nothing to me. If I'm looking for a property or if I'm interested in a tour, I could care less about the address of the property, right? And the price I could care less about usually too, unless this might be the cheapest home that I've ever toured on this property, on this channel before. Then somebody might go, the cheapest. Wait, how cheap is it? Right? That's intriguing. The most expensive. Wait, the most expensive. Well, what's the most expensive in Lafayette? Right? This might be the biggest living room I've ever seen in my life. What? What's the biggest living room he's ever seen look like? Right? It's just kind of like almost like extreme statements of something. And the truth is, I will say the same hook sometimes multiple times. So people forget. They're like, what do you call, I forget what it's not like, an elephant remembers everything, but like they're like they just move on very quickly from something. So if you use a hook once about saying like this might be the coolest house I've ever toured, well, in 6 weeks, if I say this might be the coolest house I've ever toured again, I promise you they're not going to remember that I said that other time and go, wait, he's using the same hook again. Like, you can use the same extreme statement about something and they're not going to remember it. That's not really a big deal, but I always try to be creative and think of something that's different about the property that might pull somebody in. So just think about the unique things. Like one house, one of the things that I thought was strange, it had the coolest staircase, right? And that was one of those things where I was like, this might be the coolest staircase I know, staircase that I've ever seen, right? And it was, in my opinion, it was one of the coolest staircases I've ever seen. And so again, you might think to yourself, like, how can a staircase be cool? Right. And that's the idea is we're trying to create some type of intrigue to get them to stop that scroll. Now, do all those videos go viral? No, but I know for a fact that they tend to get more traction than videos that don't have any type of hook or anything that makes me want to stop and stay, right? That's the idea is that we're looking for just a little bit more traction than usual. Um, Remembering how many eyes are on those videos and not worrying about so much things that go viral, but rather making connections with the people that are seeing them, right? We don't need virality to be able to be successful at real estate. One of the best stories I have posted and that I had really extremely great response with. I made some connections. I sent out some buyer guides, which was awesome. Is I just posted simply a picture of me, and I asked if anyone would be interested in homes that are for sale that would have a low interest rate and that you don't need perfect credit. And then in there, I added a poll. And in the poll, it said, yes, I'm interested. And the other one said, thanks, but not right now. Right. And I let everybody do their voting. Then when the poll was finished, I went back and everybody that said, yes, interested, I went and I DM'd them and I said, hey, I saw that you were intrigued by the post about homes with low interest rate and that you didn't need perfect credit. I'm curious, what has you thinking about buying? Right? And I would say, I think I'm pretty positive 98% of them all responded. I had very few that didn't respond, but I want to say I'd sent out about 35 messages or 45 messages. I had a lot of people that had voted on that one. And so I sent out those messages, and out of those, I probably picked up 4 leads of people that said they are interested in buying and they have been following me for a while and they love my content. Like they just started conversations with me. And I ended up texting them a link to my Hazine. If you don't know what Hazine is, Bryant Manchek introduced me to that. That's that flip book, free flip book. So I put my buyer's guide in that flip book and it gives me a link that I can send over social media. So I texted them the link to my buyer's guide. And now I'm giving them something, right? Even more so than with my content, I'm giving them a buyer's guide. They're pretty much all of them were first-time home buyers. And they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. This is so helpful. I'm like, yeah, just review it, get some information. And then another one I found out was I sold her mom a house. Did not know this. She's been following me for 3 years. Had no idea since I sold her mom her house. And she told me in the message, she's like, she's like, I'm working on my credit. I want to purchase, but she's like, I know my mom loved and trusted you. And she's like, and ever since she purchased with you, I've been following you, saying to myself that I'm gonna buy with you when I'm ready. Like Mind blown. Had no idea. All this time, this client, this person has been watching me and had full trust in me, just was not there and not ready. I gave her my book. She gave me all her contact information and I stored it in my phone. We texted for a little bit. And so, boom, right there, I have a buyer lead that's solid. I've built a connection with, and we're currently working on getting her credit up to where we can get her approved and ready to buy. And y'all, that was free. That was absolutely free. Name one thing out of that that cost me money to get a lead, right? And I had multiple conversations with people. And so now the important thing that I keep doing is continue to nurture those relationships by posting content, right? Posting content. The fact that I message them, that I DM them, that I talk to them, that alone already sets me apart from any other realtor that they might be following because I had an open-ended conversation with them and I offered them something of value. People love the idea of reciprocation is what's always going to come back to you in real estate, right? If I give you something, you feel like in return you need to give me something back. So if you think about that, is always like, how can I pour into this person so they want to, in return, give me something back? And it's as simple as giving them a buyer guide. That's like super simple. An easy thing you could do too, if you don't want to do the hazing link, is just ask them for their email address, right? And then you can email it to them. Now you have an email address, put them in your newsletter. If you don't have a newsletter, you're losing. I've talked about that forever. Newsletter is so important for nurturing your database and any new clients that you have coming in. The importance of a newsletter is because social media, you don't own those people, right? I have, 9,000 whatever followers. I don't own those people. If Instagram turned off tomorrow, just like TikTok, bye. All those people gone, right? That woman that I would have been nurturing for 3 years, gone, right? I think about that and I'm like, dang, like, but I would have hopefully, her mom remembers me because we stay in touch. But I would be hopeful that she would remember me. But who's to say she wouldn't just one day go on Zillow and, click on a house when she's ready, and then all of a sudden she's looking at a house and buying it with another agent. So our goal is always to get them off the platform as much as possible, right? So get them off the platform, get them in your CRM, and find a way to stay in touch with them, whether it's nurturing them by letting them window shop on your website, right? So if you don't even have a newsletter, the least you can do is put them in something like HomeBot or put them in a drip campaign or put them in triggers, market like updates and triggers. Lofty does all of that. All of us are with Epic. So using Lofty to send them market snapshots of the area, what's going on as a buyer. Or so newsletter market snapshots are listing updates, right? You can give them a generality. You know what the first time home buyer price range is, right? And you can be like, look, I know we don't know what your price range is, but I'm going to set you up, around 150 to 250. You'll get, 3 bedroom, 2 bath homes in that price range, just so you can get an idea, of what the first home buyer price range gets you in this area. And, if you get approved for more, wonderful, right? And I wouldn't do it to where they're getting listings every single day or something like that. Maybe once a week or every 2 weeks, they get an update on all the listings in the area, right? That's a touch point. It's a little touch point. If they're a seller, obviously we're keeping them updated on the value in the market, right? What's going on in the market, or the value of their property. That's really important. But yeah, pulling them off of social media is always going to be the biggest win. So if you don't have a newsletter, I highly recommend you start one. You do not have to go and pay for a newsletter software like MailChimp or Kit. I like Kit personally, or it used to be ConvertKit. They rebranded to just KIT Kit. But getting them in some sort of newsletter that you can nurture them is always going to help you. Even if you're not doing social media, obviously, like, I mean, Bryant is one of those people that is making a lot of cold calls and he's building this database of a lot of people and home seller that he can stay in touch with for probably years to come. Having some sort of drip setup or some sort of market update or something that's hitting their mailbox on a regular basis is going to help you to continue to nurture those people. Right. And so all of this kind of works synergistically with the social media. So social media is how I also try to wrap them in there. So let's say in reverse that I met some people at a party or that I picked up somebody from some type of lead system, like maybe they were a Facebook lead or something of that nature. Well, I should be putting them into some kind of drip system as well, or some kind of follow-up system, so I can continue to re-engage them so they don't forget who I am, right? Um, Brian, are you planning on this is turning into a coaching call rather than a mastermind if you're not going to chime in here?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, with social media, I'll turn my camera on too, so I'm not the only one here with their face showing. Uh, at the end of the day, with social media, because you know that I'm bad with social media, and it's like I don't know why my phone is trying to connect. Okay, like with social media, like I'm bad with social media, like being consistent with posting, but I'm really good at, you know, making the task, putting people on the calendar to follow. Like I have like uh 28 people to follow with today, and that by itself is on my calendar. So I think at the end of the day, like me wanting to get to where Drake's at with social media, where I'm not necessarily cold calling and hiring an ISA, where they're the ones making the call. That's just a point of scaling. And that's ideal with just scaling any business. Of course, that's more cost with training the ISA, more time, helping them because getting somebody within the United States is quite expensive as an ISA, but someone that's like out of the Philippines or like in Mexico or something like that is you could spend maybe $2 a day, $3 a day just for them to call. But there's also systems out there like AI that can call. But social media at the end of the day that's the scalability of it. Like, Gordon McKernan here in the state does a lot of advertising. They do social media as well. They just at the end of the day, it's just advertising and being omnipresent across the state. I think they do multiple states too as well. But cold calling, I like it because I like to talk to people. I like talking on the phone. I like, seeing my sales, my skills, do its magic and do its thing and setting the appointment within less than 15 minutes. So that's what I like to do. In turn, you're going to need that regardless. Whether you do social media or you just get referrals, you're going to need to learn. At least that's the baseline skills of like, hey, this is how you want to talk, and you want to learn it to like, learn to transition the conversation and say, okay, well, let's do this. Or how about we do this? And you're just really easing into the appointment then, right? Something like that I didn't learn about until I had a coach. So the phone call or I don't really like texting anything unless it's like some outside of real estate like to Drake or another agent. But clients, you want them to hear as if you're there in person. So the social media is great. It's just I should get a little more discipline on social media. I don't have nothing that I'm posting on social media, which Drake's probably like, what is this guy doing? He's losing so much business. So so, so I need to get better on that.
Yeah, and I think people overcomplicate this social media game, to be honest. Like they look at the me's and the everybody else who's doing it at a level that, most people don't do it at. And that's not me patting myself on the back. I mean, I have days where I don't want to film content or where I'm not as consistent as I could be. But the problem is just getting started and just putting something out there rather than nothing, rather than getting into this mentality of perfectionism, right? It's the same thing with when Brian started cold calling, right? He could have sat there all day long and like memorized these perfect scripts and things like that. And when you're talking to a human being, it's like a loaded gun on the other side, Russian roulette. You have no idea, right, what kind of reaction you're going to get from these people, whether they're going to continue the conversation with you, what kind of objections they can throw at you. You can try to prepare all day long, but everybody is different and every conversation is unique. So at a certain point, you only get good or get better by just doing it, right? So that's the idea is just breaking that mentality of this perfection or that I don't know what to post. Well, if you don't know what to post, are you just not living? Like, do you not have a life at all? Does nothing happen unless you're sitting on your couch and watching Netflix all day? Then yeah, you have nothing to post because nobody's interested in you watching Netflix all day. But if you are out going show a property, if you are out dialing, right, talking to people, if you are going visit the latest coffee shop, if you're going have lunch at a restaurant in the area, even if you're going hang out in a park, going, work out, if you're going to a certain gym in this area, if you're going shopping, like all of those things are things that people are interested in. And I think that's what people forget as a real estate agent. They want to know everything about what it's like living here. So just document your life, right? And if you think people aren't interested in your life, then you're wrong. I'll tell you right now. You could be the most boring person in the world, but if you documented everything that you're doing in your life, people would be interested in it. A perfect example of that is TikTok, because there are so many influencers who are getting famous. And I'm just like, how in the hell is this person famous? Like, there is this woman on TikTok, and it flabbergasts me, y'all. It makes me laugh. Her name is Alice Elm. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She is growing this cult following on TikTok for actually being one of the worst decorators I've ever seen. Like, for real. If you go look at her page, her videos are the opposite of what everything is taught to have a good social media and of everything from a design principle. Yes, see, Taylor even knows who she is. Everybody's obsessed with this Alice Elm chick because I think there is an energy about her that is so innocent, right? She is so authentically her, right? The way that she dresses and like she's very confident in what she styles. But when you look at her staging and her decor, it's terrible. It looks like Rooms to Go from 2010. It's just not good at all. But yet on TikTok, they are her biggest cheerleaders, just talking about how awesome her decor is and like all these different things. And I don't know if it's disingenuous or if people are just trying to be just positively uplifting. I don't know, Taylor, maybe you have some insight on what you think why she's becoming so popular, why people love her so much. But for me, all I get is the fact that, yeah, it has to be the authenticity that she comes from and the innocence in the fact of her decor. And she's getting business from it, right? Obviously, there's some people who like her taste. My taste is not the world's taste, right? I don't have to say that mine's superior to everybody else, but when I look at design magazines and some of the biggest designers in the world and what buyers are buying nowadays are attracted to, it's not typically her style. That's what's surprising to me. But yet she's making this big old killing in career right now. She's like, yeah, people are getting her to like say things. Horrible design. There you go. Look, he's giving us a horrible design, but she has a great personality. Seems like a genuine person. See? So people are craving authenticity so bad, guys, online because we were so burnt out. I would say from probably 2013, 14, when influencer world happened, maybe 2015-ish to about 2021, right? 22-ish. When the pandemic happened, I think people started getting really tired of like everybody, we're burnt out. Everybody was stuck at home. They didn't want to see everybody pretending to have these perfect lives on a beach, where you're driving Maseratis and you have all of this perfect lifestyle and nothing's wrong with you. People got so burnt out on that fakeness, right? The fake boobs and filled lips and like that whole thing. And they were like, where's the authentic people? Right. And that's when you started to see these creators rise out of the fact that they were just authentically them. There's these big old overweight people. There are these people with Down syndrome. There are these people who just create artwork at home. There are these people who are socially awkward and shy and timid. Now, all of a sudden, they're these big megastars over the fact of they're just authentic. And that's what people are craving. They are craving authenticity and a connection now online. So if there's any takeaway that you can take from today's lesson is be authentically you because everybody else is taken, right? Nobody cares if your hair's messed up today, or you got a stain on your shirt, or the way that your voice sounds, or all of these different things. People are not tearing you apart to that level. And even if they do, it creates virality. I missed a belt loop one time and I got so many comments on that on TikTok, it made my video do even better. But I think back and I laugh because of the fact of like, I'm like, that was just a little small thing that people caught in the video that I missed the belt loop, but it created conversation and comments and made my video trend better. Right. So I'm like, stuff like that is like little small things that we can sit there and freak out over, but it helps. My real estate coach, Krista Mayshore, she has fake teeth and one of her teeth fell out. And it made me laugh so hard. She still made a piece of content that day with her tooth missing right here in the front. Like, if that is not like just genuinely showing up for who you are, I don't know what is, right? Like, she loves making content and it's her thing, and that's what she did, right? Um, that's what I think to myself on the fact of like you will build so much trust and so much community and people who will love you over the fact of like you just show up, right? You just show up, you're there for them, you talk with them. Many times I've made content and different things. You do not have to go this far. I'm not saying you have to be this vulnerable with people, but I've talked about the fact that I struggle with depression, anxiety, relationship issues, and commitment issues. Like, I've had real conversations about that and talked about updates of my life. And there is a very strong presence that will come into the comment section of people with relatability. Like, hey, I've been feeling like this. Like, as a man, yeah, there's not enough of us talking about this about the fact that they struggle, right? We are all men in this room. So let me tell you something. The highest rate of suicide is with men. The highest rate of suicide is with men. Why do you think that is?
There's a lot of things. It's a high expectation of men, and it's just a lot of pressure, a lot of weight on men's shoulders these days, especially in this generation of in the dating world.
Taylor, what's your take?
We don't like talking about our feelings.
This side society has put this pressure on men that we are the strong, we're not allowed to cry, like man up, you're a sissy, like that whole like that was that good old boys mentality that we had for years. And let me tell you how well that worked out for people like my dad and how quality of a citizen he is now with that whole mentality of we're not allowed to have feelings or express them, right?
Yeah, Drake, I think wasn't that generation because I can relate there to you as well. I somewhat already know the story, but I even talk to you. I kind of know that's a whole other conversation. But uh, wasn't that generation like our parents? Weren't they raised by the generation that served in World War II?
Hmm.
So like they kind of inherited that violence, that yelling and whatnot. So which then end up dying. So I think any war changes really the mentality of a country.
Of course, and there's a fine line between, being overly emotional and overly sensitive and crying all the time and all these
Mm,
different things and revealing too much of your dirty laundry and airing it out on there.
yeah,
Like Facebook is not the place to go and air out all your dirty laundry like some people do. I'm saying there is power in being vulnerable with people over the fact of like, look, y'all, people deal with addiction problems. Like, what is wrong with talking about the fact that you have dealt with those types of things? I had a drug addiction problem in my past. I loved party drugs. Cocaine, Molly, like all of those things were a big part of my life before 30. I loved to club and party. And that was part of culture when I lived in California. And I am pretty honest with people about that if they ever inquire about that part of my life, right? That I lived to party on the weekends and like it was staying up till 5, 6 a.m., like getting a few hours of sleep, waking up, doing it all over again the next day. Like I believed I had made friends and those were real friends of mine and all this different stuff. And let me tell you, I don't know where any of those people are now, right? When I stepped away from that culture, I pretty much lost all of my friends, right? Um, And I'm saying this in the aspect of like people can connect with these types of things. This empowers people to be willing to talk about that they go through those types of things as well, right? Like, don't be afraid to admit that you struggle. Everybody struggles, right? Again, you don't have to go and like, you don't have to do like me and go and blast it out on TikTok and tell everybody. But it is important to talk to coworkers, talk to friends, family, get it out there. If you do feel comfortable, get it on social media. And I promise you'll receive a lot of love back. You'll be very surprised at the reactions. The only people who would not react in a loving way are the ones that you don't even want around you anyway. And I promise you, it's a much smaller margin, extremely smaller margin. Anytime I've been vulnerable about that stuff, I felt like all I've received is kind messages. Like my inbox gets flooded with people saying, "Thank you so much for speaking up. I've struggled with the same things. Like, I've been, sober for this many years. There's not enough guys talking about this. Like, it's a real problem." And I'm sure it's the same in the women's world, but I think it's just more so with guys. And that's why I am here today empowering you to tell you it is okay to be vulnerable. Go ahead, Merrick.
No, I mean, this is great stuff, Drake. I just wanted to add to that. One of the things that I've learned over the years on my journey in business, personal growth, relationships, etc., is men tends to isolate comparing to women. Overall, again, this generally speaking, in the circle of people I've been surrounded around for the last 10 years, we actually talk about this very same subject, that basically men comparing to women basically just, they have drinking buddies, party buddies. I mean, you were hitting it, with your own personal journey right on the nail. Yeah, we just do that naturally because uh, I guess maybe it's culture, whatever. That basically, we go have drinks, we go get, whatever in the South. I used to live in Mississippi, they go, shoot guns, but there is no uh, real connection. And, I think that's probably, in my personal opinion, one of the reasons, why men struggle with relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, 1,000%. I think our society has created a monster in that culture, right? In that, yeah, men aren't allowed all these things. But I'll tell you this from the perspective of how it helps you in business. I'll tell you this, it will make you 1,000% more approachable as a leader, right? The fact that you're willing to open up about the things that you have. So now your team members will be more likely to confide in you and feel comfortable with you because they'll be like, well, Drake struggles with things. I'm not going to be judged by that, right? Like the fact that if I tell him, hey, I'm going through this, or I'm fighting through that, and then vice versa, you'll be a great team member, right? If you're willing to relate to other team members or, to open up to other people, it only makes the team stronger, right? If everybody knows what everybody's going through and how they can be supported, like that's part of being part of a team. So it doesn't matter where you're at, leader or team member or just a solo agent, right? Find your tribe. Your vibe attracts your tribe. That is a huge, huge thing for me. I started saying that over the past few years, and I'll try to live that. And I think to myself, what am I attracting to my life right now? Right? Am I attracting chaos, anger, uh, judgmental people, lazy workers? Right? So
Did Drake just freeze everybody?
I froze.
Yeah, you froze for like 3 seconds.
Sorry, I was getting a call. I'm getting a call, Brady, from Jason Seville. Oh, Lord.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Did he try calling you yet? You're probably
Yeah,
not.
he hasn't, but I was just had a couple calls come through, but they weren't St. Josephsville, so I'm
We,
very curious.
I had an online lead that was a buyer, and I gave it to Brady, and he's an interesting fellow. He's nice. He's nice, genuine guy, very genuinely nice guy. Just interesting. But yeah, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So what vibes are you putting out there is what you're going to get back. If you're closed off, if you have nothing of interest or you don't want to reveal anything about yourself, hey, that's your prerogative. But let me tell you, you're not going to have many people that are going to feel vulnerable or going to feel open to opening up to you, or they're just not going to receive you in the same way that you want. And all of these things that I'm telling you is not only stuff that applies to you personally, but that applies through social media as well. People can feel these things, right? If you're closed off and you're not revealing who you are, or you're trying to change the voice, or you're trying to wear a style of clothes that you don't normally wear in person, but you wear it on social media, like people can see through that, man. People know fake. They just do. You can tell a fake person most of the time nowadays. You can feel that energy from somebody when they're faking it. Um, Sometimes with social media, maybe you got to fake it to make it. Like maybe you're not an outgoing person and you're trying to be a bit more outgoing, but why not talk about that on your journey, right? People can relate to that. Hey guys, I just want to let you know I am on a journey to do more social media and to be more vulnerable and be more myself with you guys. And I hope you're going to stay here for this awkward journey with me. Like what? How many people would probably think to themselves, like, dang, I wish I had the bravery to do that. Like he's like straight up telling us he's awkward and feels weird doing this, but like, hey, I'm here for it. I'm here to cheer you on, right? Your life is content. If you are just going to fill all of your page with nothing but real estate content, you're not giving me enough. You really need a lot more personal stuff in there. Your interests, your likes, things that you're doing, what you're learning, what you're reading, what you're eating, uh what you're out doing as activities. Are you running? Do you hike? Do you travel? Like, give me something more interesting about you that I can connect with. Give me something sticky, is what I like to say. Something sticky about you, because everybody has something that's sticky about them, right? Like, from the little bit that I know Brady is one of the most genuine people that I know. He's like, literally, I feel like I can give him $10 million and I would have every single one of that dollar back if I went back to him tomorrow for it. Like, that's the thing that I know about Brady. Bryant Manchek is a book reader and excellent in communication with understanding like mental science with people, the little bit that I know about him, and he's a hard worker, right? These are things that he's revealed to me and I've immediately picked up on just getting to know him. And he's also one of the most well-groomed guys I've ever seen, right? These are observances and things that you notice about people, right? Taylor, genuine guy, right? Little bit that I know about him, he's got a little Southern twang to him. He's been in real estate a long time. He's nice to everybody. I've never not seen him be kind. He's a hard worker. Merrick makes amazing jewelry. He's a creative type. He travels and spends time in Europe, right? So it's like we can pick up on all these little things about people, but by what they reveal. So what are you revealing about yourself, right? Let that be your content that speaks forward, right? Let that be your brand. And I promise you're going to start to see the return on investment. You're going to start to see people that are loyal followers. You're going to notice they're always watching your stories and watching your life. Because that's the funny thing too. Some of them are very silent. It's like that woman that I told you that had been following me for 3 years. Silent. I looked, she had never DM'd me once. She had never commented on anything that I posted. But I'm assuming that she must be following my stories and me watching them all the time. Probably if I went back and scrolled to look at my stories, I'm sure she's consistently watching them or seeing them. That's the reason why she followed me, was because she felt like her mom trusted me. She needs to trust me. So same thing, people are watching. And if you stop and put that perspective of like, oh, well, I only have like 100 followers. Do you know what a room of 100 people looks like? Right? It's a pretty full room. That's my real producers party, 100 whatever people, 130, 150 people in a room. If I take all those people and they're all staring at you and you stop and think about that for a second, versus like the mind blowing of like, I've had videos that have had 500,000 views. 500,000 people saw me with a piece of content. And I think to myself, dang, that is mind blowing to me to think, because I can't even put that many people in one spot and visually know what that looks like, right? Or even 10,000 people. What does that look like? The Cajun Dome completely full, I guess? I don't know. Some type of dome completely full with people, all were eyes on you, even if it just got that many, 1,000 people, right? That's big. It's really, really big. So stop thinking so small. Even if you just have 100 to 200 people who are consistently watching your stuff and engaging with it, imagine if those people converted to transactions. Would your business be changed forever? Mine would, right? Think about that. Geez, 100 to 200 transactions a year, people that love me and convert and buy and sell from me, like, I'd change my business forever. Um, uh, Brian, you have any more input or anything? We're about 10 minutes from finishing. I would love to hear you guys' feedback, or what do you think about this, or any thoughts y'all have?
No, I think you hit the nail right on the head where, people ultimately by default, people judge others like in a negative way, or they try to find something in a negative way when they don't find anything that's similar to them on your social media. And it's just a bunch of pictures and it's a bunch of like, all about you or your family or your business. And it's not necessarily about, that's somehow relatable to them. It's kind of like the same interaction when you first meet somebody in person. Like it's very dry, it's very, black and white. There's no connection. It's kind of like they rather be distant and dislike you because of that, because they can't find anything that's you connect with. I think that same approach is how they do, how we do everything in life is, especially social media, because I have thousands of people I really don't even know on social media. So it's like, when someone does interact with a post of mine or something like that, it's like I'm like, who do I know? I don't know this person. But what's funny enough is that people are watching. I will say that because when I had my wrap, I know I'm not sure if Drake knew this or not, but I had my vehicle wrapped with my face with real estate. Like it was quite unconventional. Like it was the hood, all the front of the vehicle was like a digital black, white, and gray camo. I mean, it was loud, like extremely, extremely loud. And then I had like on the back door was like my face smiling in a suit, looking like a goofball. And it had, it said, your real estate professional, Brian Manshak, my number, and then in red it said get your home sold. So and then but of course on the backside it was that digital camera too as well. So uh when I would drive around everywhere, and when I would either be in the gym or some social event or even out drinking with some buddies, whatever, I would have people literally come to me like, "Hey, aren't you that realtor with his face on the car?" Like most like that was the line I've gotten past since because I got my first when I got in the business, it was 2020. I got the car wrapped the end of 2020. So from there till Easter of last year is when I had to take it off. Because you can only really keep them on for about 4 years because the adhesiveness just it gets stuck on the vehicle. It's too hard to get off. So I within that time frame, everywhere I go, whether it's to Costco, it doesn't matter, whether it's like Twin Peaks. Like I've had random people that I don't know. I've had the one of the sheriff here in Baton Rouge come up to me and was like, "Hey, aren't you that guy with his face on the car with the illegal tent?" I was like, I don't know if I want to answer that. I don't want to answer that because
Are
I
you
mean I don't know who that. I don't. I'm like I don't know who that is. It's not me. And then he was just joking with me because I have 5% tent and illegal. It's all legal, but up front it's like 50%. So, but it's evident that it's dark. So I've never had a cop pull me over. Never. I mean, I've been at red lights. I mean, countless times by state troopers, by East Baton Rouge Parish, by Orleans Parish, cops, and they just don't do anything because they see my face. They probably think it's funny. I've had people at the red light I've literally seen them. They're taking pictures and videos of my car, everything else, probably sending it to their wife or husband, whatever, making fun of it, whatever. It's okay. But I've always, everywhere I would go, it was kind of like one of those like icebreakers where it's like, hey, aren't you that guy? Aren't you that realtor with his face on his car? I was like, oh yeah, that stupid thing. I gotta get that thing off. Just joking with them, but knowingly, I need to keep it on, like because I would go everywhere and people would see me. So, and sometimes I would speed too fast, but that's whatever. And that was
hope you're not
just
cutting
putting
and
myself.
flipping people off?
Yeah, yeah. I know I've never had I've never bad interaction on the road. It's just because it was extremely hard to miss. Like it was like that. You could see it from a distance. It's like, oh, that's Bryant right there. So, that was one thing that I always use in my business, and that's great. And I don't expect anyone to get their vehicle wrapped because it was a few $1,000s. I mean, I think in total it was like maybe $2,800 to get commercially wrapped. I think a little after taxes, like $3,200. So that's great, but however, I wouldn't make it your personal vehicle. That was my personal vehicle. I drove everywhere. But that was just an icebreaker. Same thing with like social media. I'm sure Drake, if someone you don't know comes up to you, whether you're wherever you're at, they're probably like, "Hey, aren't you that realtor that's always posting videos or something on Facebook?" That's probably the icebreaker to start the conversation instead of because people have like this social pressure of they don't know how to talk to you or they don't know how to communicate with you because we're always communicating with people, and a lot of the majority of people, the audience that are outside of sales, don't know how to really necessarily communicate the best way possible. So icebreakers are great. They have things that are there are great. So maybe posting like fun. I'm not the one that posts funny or like a little borderline. There's some videos out there, Drake, that some agents I see that are like borderline like innuendo, like they're a little sexual, like and there's like a little bit cursing here and there. It's just like, yeah, I would never put maybe like one video where it's like here, but not consistently post stuff like that because that makes me look like that type of person or that type of professional that posts that all the time. So I just need to get better on the whole social media thing. But the car being wrapped was a big icebreaker in the beginning of my business. And every time I went to an appointment, every time I went to especially a seller to be interviewed for a listing or work with a buyer, like they knew where the house was. Because like they knew even with the address you put in, you're trying to figure, okay, which house is this one? Is that one the right? It's like and they just look for my vehicle. It's right there. So, um, but social media, I think that Drake. I'm sure like you said, as long as there's a hook, and then really keeping them engaged in the actual content is best. But you know more about that, Drake. So I just need to get better on the whole social media thing and being consistent with it. I just got rid of the rap, and that was it. And that's honestly, I like my black vehicle, so I've missed
No,
it. So
oh no, all good. I didn't realize. Do you still have it wrapped, or you did?
no, I took it off. We took it off last year and on Easter.
Okay.
So and that took us like 3 hours. It was quite some time. So it was pretty hard too because the adhesiveness, you have to heat up, you have to actually get a heat gun and heat up the wrap and pull it. Like I mean, use all your strength to pull it, heat it up. Like you have someone there with heat gun heating up and pull it, and not all of it came off at once. They like come up. Some of it was like little bitty bits and pieces. It's like, oh man, we're gonna be here all day. So my fingers and like the other two guys, like it was burnt up plastic all on it. It was you couldn't use gloves because it wasn't. It's little bitty pieces, and it's whatever. I mean, it was worth the investment. It was a tax write-off, but it got a lot of attention initially getting the business. I didn't expect. I think maybe the whole time of me owning the wrap, having the wrap on the vehicle, I think I may have gotten 3 people in total that's reached out to me, and those 3 people actually we've closed. So, um, did it pay for itself? Yes, but I think on a you know publicity standpoint or being out there, it paid for itself too as well. So. But social media, so you can have the same effect, if not more, with social media, because everyone is on social media. So
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I love the fact of you were thinking outside the box, right? And then you're getting known for something. That's I think always important with any type of brand. I mean, if somebody has something that they can instantly relate to you, yeah, instantly you have some kind of like something that makes you different, right? Unique. It's like that value proposition where they immediately know, well, hey, he's that dude with the wrapped car. Like that's a touch point, whether or not people are making fun of you or not, right? Hey
yeah,
Sheila, looks like you snuck in toward the end here. I'm curious, did you find it off Epic Cloud?
I saw it on, yeah, Epic Cloud. And I
Okay, good.
apologize. I just was in the wrong time zone.
Oh, okay. That's what I was wondering. I'm like, I hope it says correctly on Epic Cloud that it's 10 Central. I'm gonna go and double check the invitation. I would hope it translates to the different time zone to people though.
I don't know. I put it into my calendar, what I understood, so but I really don't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So it is 10
That's okay.
Central. Yeah.
Are you gonna distribute the recording or I'll just be back next time?
I have a recording that I just made. I'm not sure. I can try to get it to you if you want to DM me your email address. I can send it to
Very
you.
good. Okay,
Drake, I
thanks.
don't know if you could see this, but this is how obnoxious the vehicle was. Like you
Come
can see my
closer.
face, so let me
Oh
see if
yeah,
we
yeah,
can
yeah.
actually.
You,
So
okay,
it's
cool.
extremely like you knew. Some people say, "Oh, it looked like a race car." It's like, yeah, whatever. And I never got a speed ticket. Never got. It's just whatever.
Okay, well, we're coming up at the end of that time. I'm sorry, Sheila, you missed it, but we talked about social media vulnerability with social media and things of that nature. So hopefully you'll get to check out the recording. We just went through our 5 week cycle, so I'd like to come up with some topics that we'll discuss for the next few weeks. And I love getting everybody's input and feedback on what they would like to talk about the next few weeks. So we already went over open houses. We did pre-listing strategies, communication and objections. We did AI that can help your business and social media. So what would y'all like to see over the next, few classes that y'all would like to discuss more as a group? I would like to talk about personally, go over some of my scripts that I've used for cold calling. If you guys are open to that, we could talk about my FISBO expired circle prospecting scripts. We could go over
Yeah,
scripting.
we could do that, Drake. Because I know last time me and Elena was talking to you about like we were kind of role playing a little bit actually,
Okay.
and I was actually quite impressed by how Drake, the confidence and like just the not so much just like the being so direct and abrasive, but like the subtle confidence in Drake and just the scripts that he was saying was great. So
Okay, so if y'all are open
not
to it, we could do scripting next week.
yeah.
We'll talk. Yeah, we'll do scripting next week. The week after that, what would y'all like to discuss? We could do listing presentation, buyer presentation. We can dig more into social media, how to come up with content or scripting of content. Um,
Let's do if you I mean, we could do buyers if you want to.
Buyer presentation.
Yeah, I feel like sellers are just it's just so it's everyone really does with the sellers with what to really say almost it seems like
Well, you'd be
because
surprised.
well maybe I'm so used to speaking with sellers all the time.
Well, let's do this. We'll do buyer presentation and seller presentation, and we'll all bring to the table, the
Okay.
different things that we say, and hopefully we'll all walk away with some tidbits. Um, that would be helpful because I think we all have different things that we do, and maybe, you'll add something to your presentation and vice versa. So, we got 3 weeks. We can do one more. If y'all have one more, I'd like to have at least a month planned out. Anything, Sheila, that you would be interested in us masterminding with you?
I do you, let's see, anything on social media would be appreciated.
Okay, so that'll be a month. I'm okay with circling back to social media in a month. So let's do social media again, but this time maybe I'll focus on what is more important to you guys. Do y'all have trouble with? Would you say editing or how to script, how to create a good script?
Probably the creating a good script part, which I think ChatGPT could probably help you with.
Okay,
You've been using ChatGPT a lot. I'm just like this is actually quite impressive.
It
yeah.
all overlaps, doesn't
I,
it?
I have
Yeah,
I have the app on my phone now, so that's how
yeah,
intrigued I am about it.
editing. If you could talk about editing at some point too, right? That would be great.
What I'll do is I'll do the script part, and if we have enough time, I can go through editing with you guys. Some of the apps that we use or different things, different tips and
Yeah,
tricks. To
Taylor's like Taylor's a good scripts and a good hook examples. Like what would you do in your videos?
Perfect. I actually have a document that I can give you guys that actually has a ton of hooks on it, and it'll give you a launching point with how to create good hooks. Um,
Awesome.
so I'll get that document to you all then. So yeah, so next week we'll talk about scripting and high level conversations. Brian will have I know a lot of input on that too, which will be great. And then we can talk about presentations, then social media. So that'll be our next month of masterminds. I am here, I think, schedule wise for the next month. I don't think I have anything until March. I think March 22nd-ish I'll be gone, but I think I'll still be here on the 18th, so I think we'll be good. So yeah, we got a good little schedule here.
Yeah,
Sheila, we're glad you popped in. We hope to get to know you more. Maybe we'll see you next week. 10 a.m. Central Time. I don't know what time zone you're in,
Yeah,
but
I'll be there. I'll correct it right now. Thank you so much.
of course,
Drake,
yeah.
where can we find the recordings of all this?
That's the hard part that I'm trying to figure out where I can store all these because they're long and they're kind of like large. So I can put them in like a Google Drive, but if there's a way for me to put them in um to upload them to Epic Cloud, I would like to just store them where the actual class was. I'm going to check and see if there's a way for me to do that. What I might be able to do is just if I do put it in my Google Drive, I could probably put the link maybe in Epic Cloud back there or something like that. Well, I'll play around with it and see.
Couldn't you post it on your profile?
Oh, I wonder. Oh, I guess I could, huh? Just post it on my profile on
Yeah,
Epic Cloud.
I think I mean I wonder if you can do that just so that I
Yeah,
mean
let me look into it because I haven't gotten in a good habit of posting the recordings, and I know it'd probably be helpful to a lot of people. So let me play around with that, and we can circle back to it next week. I can tell y'all, but I'm gonna go and look at it after this.
okay.
All right, cool. Thank you guys so much for coming. Honored to have y'all here, and of course, we'll be here next Tuesday, ready to fire it up for some scripting. All right,
Very
Great.
good. Thank you.
go kill it,
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye.